Well, Francois Verster is an award-winning South African independent film and documentary maker. His latest film, The Dream of Scheherazade, weaves together music, oral storytelling and politics, resulting in an insightful piece of cinema. Before we talk to Francis, let's take a look. Well, Francois, you're here with me now and we're going to talk about the film. It's such a fundamentally and universally appealing film, isn't it?
Well, I'd like to think so, myself.
Yeah?
I think, the story itself is very, it's universally known, the story of Scheherazade, the storytelling princess who saves lives by telling stories. And I think it works, universally in a lot of different levels.
Yeah. Now, the actual story is that she was the daughter of a local dignitary, and the ruler of that kingdom had lost his wife and was killing a virgin every night for months or for a long period of time. And Scheherazade came in and she told him a story that she didn't finish on the first night. And then what happened? Tell me.
Well, she very skillfully weaves stories together, ending a whole lot of stories on cliffhangers. Every story introduces another story. So the result is that at the end of every night, a whole lot of stories are left unfinished, with the result that the king then wants to hear the ending and he delays the execution, which would have happened the next day for another night. And then the next night she does the same thing, and the next night she does the same thing, and she continues this for 1001 nights, hence the 1001 nights.
Yeah. That's the critical point. Is this one that she survives for 1,000 nights, and that leads us to the 1001 nights that we hear about even today.
Yes, correct.
So why did you decide to make this film?
Well, the film came about, well, we started thinking about it in 2006, and this was very much in a kind of post-9/11 climate of Islamophobia, and, a lot of people quite close to me had been looking, had been quite directly affected by that. And I started thinking about my own relationship to, I guess, the Middle Eastern or Muslim world, and it occurred to me that my own earliest exposure was through the stories of the 1001 Nights, so through Ali Baba and Sindbad and Aladdin and the Magic Lamp. And I thought, how does this work in terms of contemporary politics? So the film very much wants to look at, I guess, kind of recent political history through fable, through storytelling, and also through music.
Why is this particular story so important to you?
Well, I partly got into the film through the piece of music. The Scheherazade Suite, Rimsky-Korsakov Scheherazade Suite forms the backbone of the film, and that's based on the 1001 Nights. And I think through that we also thought, let's also work with storytelling. So I actually got back into the story through music.
Do you have a favourite part of the film?
Yes. Now, towards the end, I think the ending, when it leads up to the final climax, is for me very, I saw it in the cinema last night and it feels, it's a very dramatic part to watch for me. Now,
the premiere of the film takes place and the Human Rights Film Fest. How did that come about?
Well, I have had previous films showing at the Human Rights Film Festival. I think people from the festival had seen it at a festival in Amsterdam that we showed in November last year, and then they invited the film for its UK premiere.
So you explained a little bit about September the 11th and why that affected you. Just explain that in a little bit more detail then.
Well, I guess, people quite close to me are Muslim or, culturally Muslim, and they, I think, after 9/11, in the kind of whole wave of anti-Islam feeling, it was affecting people on a whole lot of different levels. And I just thought how that relates to my own
Is that because you thought that when September the 11th happened, there was a big surge of anti-Muslim feeling, and you wanted to go back to the history of the Middle East and perhaps explain that actually we needed to see, despite the terrible trauma of what happened, a balanced view of the history and culture of that region?
Yeah, well, I guess the more accurate answer would be to say that I thought, you know, there's been so much written, kind of in traditional news media, and there's so much, kind of on television about it, that I thought if you make a documentary film that tries a slightly different angle, you know, goes in through music and goes in through storytelling, you know, you'd maybe get a far broader, richer result.
And what result were you actually hoping to achieve there then?
Well, I suppose to give some kind of insight in the role of culture, or the interconnectedness of culture and politics and art within the region. I mean, that, you know, I think there's a lot of, I mean, I wasn't setting out to make a film to correct Western misconceptions of the region, but I think the film gives a kind of a different kind of insight into, I guess, Egypt specifically and Turkey to a degree.
Because actually what we see from the outside sometimes is a series of conflicts, and we don't actually see the connections. We see only the conflict.
Yeah, and this film looks more at ordinary life and how people deal with oppression or deal with problems through storytelling and through music.
So when is the premiere?
The UK premiere happened last night at the Curzon Soho, and then we're having another screening at the Barbican tomorrow. That's
right,
Thursday
okay.
night.
And how did the premiere go?
No, it went extremely well.
Yeah.
It was sold out, and we had fantastic Q&A, and people really felt the film. Which
Yeah,
was great
amazing.
for me.
So you've got a background as an independent filmmaker, documentary maker. What's your next project?
We're looking at making a film about a famous South African novelist.
Oh, really? You can't tell me who that is?
Well, we're still finalising things with him, but it's South Africa's most famous novelist.
Oh, right, okay. Okay, and that's a bit of a departure for you, perhaps, or...?
Yes, to a degree,
yeah.
to a degree. We'll see where it leads.
Yeah, okay. Right, Francois Verster, thank you very much for joining us here on Arise News. Certainly, anyone who's watching should get down to the Barbican, I guess, to watch your the rerun of your film.